How's it going? So I ended up getting top 4 at my case tournament yesterday, or I guess this morning. It lasted until about 1 p.m. or 1 a.m. And basically what happened was I was X01. I was first after all of Swiss. I beat the only undefeated after 6 rounds. In top 8, my first round opponent for top 8 was also playing Rescue Ace, and because of my experience, I literally looked at him. I said, oh, the mirror, I win. And apparently my intimidation tactic worked because he immediately decided to drop. In the top 8, it was great. And then after we hit top 8, it was like 1 a.m., 12:30 maybe. And we decided that we're just going to split. So I ended up getting 8 tins for the mega tins. We ended up doing a opening. You're going to be able to see that after this. I'm going to upload it. And I just wanted to show you off what I had been basically cooking, because this Rescue Ace variant is absolutely different than what any other Rescue Ace variant you're going to go ahead and see, because of the different interactions and pieces that it has, and also because of how it can extend. I'll also show you a combo afterwards that is just airlifter and any extender that would be for the extension piece that I'll show you later. And it is significantly stronger than anything that the current board can make off of just the one airlifter. And it's literally just one monster that starts everything. So let's go ahead and get into it, and I will go from there. So we're going to start with the monsters here. And then I'll put this is our little secret engine. We're going to show you that afterwards. It was 3 hydrants, 3 impulse. Anybody that runs under 3 is crazy. 1 monitor. This one is contention for some people. I really, really love it because it is a really, really good card to side out. And then the second piece is I don't do normal combos that players do. So I always have Preventer in the graveyard. So during the opponent's turn, I can activate alert or set alert and then activate alert off of effects. And I can search out the monitor, and then the monitor lets me summon back the Preventer or even a Turbulence, maybe an Airlifter. There's even like a 2-card combo with the Airlifter, which obviously I am running at 3 because it is the best normal summon in the deck. Where you use Airlifter to summon Monitor. Monitor searches for a trap, and then they activate a monster effect. You use Monitor to summon Airlifter, and Airlifter searches for your spell. In which means you have 5 cards plus the one that you summon back, which ends up doing your entire combo. And then obviously I'm running 1 fire attacker, 1 fire engine. I've always been a advocator that you only run these at 1. If you run this at 2, it's up to you, but I really don't like this at more than 1 because it's really good to pull out with impulse, and that's it. You don't want to see it unless you draw specifically hydrant. And then 2 Preventer. I considered 3. 2 is just really, really good for this deck. So I thought that I'm going to keep it at that. And then my 2 Shiny that Cameraman Morgan ended up going ahead and helping me get both of them to CR Turbulence, because obviously you need to run Turbulence.
You're welcome.
Absolutely. 3 Drolan Lockbird, 3 Ash Blossom. These are the only hand traps I run in the deck. I don't run Imperm, I don't run Nib, because Drolan Lockbird is the best equalizer for this deck, and Ash Blossom is necessary for Branded because it's branded. I genuinely hate running this card, but it's okay, especially since you run stuff like Sunlight Wolf that lets you cycle it back. And now it's time to show you the Spicy Engine, the piece de resistance, the thing that made this whole deck good. I was running an Infernoble package. 3 Fire Flint Lady, 3 Renaud, 1 Courageous Crimson Chevalier Badamonte, and then 3 Durandal. So we have the 6 extenders, and then 4 Durandals, because this is functionally Durandal because it targets a warrior, attaches an equip spell from the deck. This also has some type of graveyard effect, but that's the only reason I used it. I used it once, and it actually lost me the game because I misplayed with it. But the best part is when you're running this, you're going to see the line in a second. But I also run Isolde in here. So you summon Renaud off of the Isolde, add the Durandal. Durandal can add you another name, or I can add you Fireflint Lady. And when you go Fireflint Lady, it lets you start with Appaloosa without doing Emergency, without doing Turbulence. It's just really, really good. And that's how I ended up winning a lot of my games, is they would hold the Ash specifically for the Emergency, and then I'd just start off with Appaloosa, and then they would show me the Ash, and I'd be like, yeah, that makes sense. And then 1 for 1 and Rhoda. And then 3 Prosperity, because obviously you have to run it. And then the other like secret tech that I quote-unquote was using was Droplet. This, again, was a suggestion by Cameraman. But it's really good in the deck because it lets you go ahead and put names in the graveyard. And there are times when you open up the high-level monsters, but nothing else other than like generic spells like Alert, HQ, Rescue, and you don't have a way to get them in the graveyard. So Droplet lets you go ahead and establish that, and lets your going second turn go a lot better because it's non-targeting negation. It's just genuinely really good. And then Rescue Ace spells 3, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1, 1. So this is obvious. I don't really need to go ahead and speak about that in regards to Rescue Ace. However, this is very important. You always want to run 2 HQ. When you play against a Runic matchup, you need the second one because you're going to be cycling HQs a lot. And then Reinforce comes up a lot, like a crazy amount, just because it gives your it makes your monster basically invulnerable against other monsters. And because a lot of the format requires the monsters to pop stuff, they can't run over it, or they can't run over your monster or pop it off of monster effects, so it's genuinely impossible to get rid of. And then while this is in the graveyard, it can banish itself to set any of the spells. So you'll see me activate this during the end phase just to get the spell set a lot. But there are times when like I'm in battle phase and it's that extra 15 that wins you the game. It's just genuinely one of the best cards in the deck, and it's just heavily underdone. And the spiciest part about this, if you've been counting, I ran 50 cards in this deck. So like I said, it is a very spicy build. The reason why I ended up doing 50 was because it was actually just everything but the Infernoble build. And I found that if I added the Infernoble stuff, if they ashed me, trolled me, impermed me, or anything like that with regular Rescue Ace, it can just stop me on a dime. But I can just do the same thing with the Infernoble stuff first, and then it lets me play around half of those. The Ash, the Droll, and it's just genuinely really good. So let's go ahead and get to the extra deck, and then we'll show off the side in a second. So obviously you need to run as many mass tokens as you can find. It's your Spirit. And then you got Link Karibo, and then 2 Isolde. You don't want to lose this if you're playing against Cash, because this is your opener. So I'm running 2. This is the only 2 I run in the deck because it's the only thing that's technically matters. IP Masquerena, Sunlight Wolf, and Hida. These are pretty obvious. And then I run the entire Nightmare Suite for the removal pieces. There are a lot of times when you use the Nightmares and just cycle through them, getting 2, 3, 4 draws a turn off of these, and it wins a lot. And then 1 Trisbana. I never summoned it for its genuine effect, but there was this one time in the last round. I was playing against Runic. I had already hit him for 3k. I was above in life points, and I BM'd him by summoning Trisbana, using the Link Karibo in my graveyard to summon it under the Trisbana, just so I could banish his fountain. Even though I was higher up in life points, I had that BM and dealt that psychic damage because it was important. Decode Talker Heat Soul. I summoned this a few times. The extra draws actually never mattered because I had the hand traps in hand. But what I was actually digging for was extenders for the opponent's turn. Stuff like monitor, reinforce, contain, stuff like that. There was one time I paid Heat Soul 5 times in one game. He just let it stick on the field, and I realized that I had misplayed halfway through because I had game on board. He had, I think, one monster and no other plays, and I normal summoned, I had the field spell up, and I normal summoned Hydrant and didn't declare it was my additional normal, but I had 2 of the warriors, a Fireflint Lady and a Renaud, and I realized that I would have immediately won if I just declared it as my additional normal. And I ended up losing that game against the Unchained player. We went in time, and that's my one draw, is because of that big misplay. Scareclaw Tryheart, Appaloosa, Axis Code, and then Underworld Goddess. This is important. It's incredibly important in this deck because if you play against Cash, you need that turn. If you play against Branded, you need that turn because there are times when they just have a crazy board and just ending on a Tryheart can win you a game. And then finally, we go to the side. We have 3 Kurikara, 3 Shifter, 3 Twin, 3 Moon, 3 Eclipse. Kurikara is important because it deals with Cash. I didn't play against a single Cash today, or yesterday. Dimension Shifter, I did use once against a Runic player, and that Runic player is synonymous against me, where every single time I open Dimension Shifter, he's opened Called by the Grave. So I've never been able to shifter him, but that is the only time I shifted. Twin Twister is also incredibly important because it lets me go ahead and establish against a lot of back row decks. And I had realized about halfway through the tournament that if you just start focusing the Unchained traps while they're face down, the only threat that you have is the DDD. So the DDD doesn't matter, in which case you would just normal summon Impulse effect, and then go on to your combo because you're playing the Isolde line. What? What? Why are you trying to climb on me? Huh? Yeah, otherwise, the side seemed pretty solid. I sided in 6 Book of Moon, they're the 6 books, a lot, and I almost never saw it. The only time I saw it was against the DD player on the game that I misplayed. Otherwise, yeah, that's pretty much it. I want to go ahead and show you the line. So the line is actually pretty simple. You open up with Airlifter and any of the Warrior Extenders. One of these 2, right? So you normal Airlifter, search for Emergency, and then let's say we opened up Renaud just for proof. You activate, you summon Renaud, and then we link here into Isolde. Where's Isolde? Isolde. Isolde goes ahead and searches for Impulse. And then Isolde's second effect, you send the Durandal and summon Renaud. And then you use Renaud, target the Durandal. You activate Durandal, effect of Durandal. And then if you want to go ahead and start off with Apo, you go and search for the Fireflint Lady or the Renaud, whichever one you didn't summon. If not, you if you're not worried about Ash, you go Monitor. Because most of the time, if they're holding the Ash, they realize that Isolde is the full line anyway, and they're going to go ahead and Ash the Isolde. But if they decided to not do that, you go Emergency, summon Hydrant, tribute Monitor, effective Hydrant, search for Turbolam, Turbolam effect to summon itself. It banishes Monitor and Airlifter. Turbolam's going to set, and it's going to set Extinguish, Contain, Alert, and Emergency. You activate Alert. You search for Preventer. You activate Preventer. banishing the emergency in the graveyard, and this is actually really relevant because you want the alert in the grave. And then from here you go 1, 2, 3, 4 into an apple for 4. And then you use Preventer to summon back Monitor. And then Preventer or Monitor searches for Reinforce. So the ending board on this, there are small variations of this, but this is like the bread and butter version. Apple for 4, Monitor to Reborn Preventer, Emergency Reinforce Contain and Extinguish, as well as an Impulse that was searched out. That doesn't include the other 3 cards in your hand that was used for this. So you could have stuff like Ash Blossom, Droll, another starter, Droplet, the Field Spell. Like, it's all genuinely just really good. And the other variations are like if you draw one of the high-level extenders, you can end on IP plus all of this. But otherwise, this is the bread and butter combo. Definitely a lot better than what the normal summon Airlifter looks like, especially since you want all 3 traps on the field, but you don't want to set all 3 off of Turbulence. So, otherwise, yeah, that was pretty much how it went. I pulled that combo off a couple of times. There have been, because the extra deck was so fluid and Isolde was a really, really good Imperm and Ash target for people, I was able to just play regular Rescue Ace after that, and it was a cakewalk. My matchups were round 1 was Dragon Link, round 2 was the Unchained Player, that's my draw. Round 3 was
Forgettable.
No, it was Branded Chimera. Branded Chimera. And I think that match was like 10-15 minutes long. And then round 4 was Runic, Sprite, Live Twin. Round 5 was Dragon Link. And round 6 was Naturia, or not Naturia, Runic for higher Sprite. And he was the only undefeated. So I ended up beating him in the last round, making me, quote unquote, the only undefeated, getting first place after Swiss, going X01. And then, yeah. Otherwise, that seems pretty much it. Thank you so much. I will be uploading the quarter of a case 25th anniversary tin opening for my prizing shortly, and I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day.